It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
All right, people, I am Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report, and I am joined by a woman that I am officially anointing the queen of all media, Megyn Kelly. How are you, you predicting wizard?
Am I?
You are. I'm going to show you some evidence in the course of the next half hour of your predictions, but I suspect you're feeling pretty good, my friend. I mean, we had a little something to do with this, I think, right? A little something. What's going on here online?
I don't know if I did or I didn't. I'm sure you did. I feel just euphoric. I just feel like truly euphoric in the way you don't feel that often. You know what I mean? Like euphoria, that's not a feeling that comes over you very often. And certainly not from the political world. You know, if you get that feeling, it's usually something in your personal life. So, but I didn't realize how much I wanted it. Do you know what I mean? Like I was preparing myself. I was like, she's probably going to win. She's got the ground game. It's very tight. Just going to have to prepare myself for that because I refuse to be one of those blubbering idiots on the air if this goes the wrong way. Like, oh, boo, I refuse. So I was trying to get myself mentally accustomed to the thought of like picturing her up there taking the oath. And when he won, it was just such a huge feeling of relief, hopefulness, and as I say, like extreme joy and even euphoria.
I mentioned to you when I joined you on election night that in some way his hero arc now of this comeback and the euphoria that so many of us feel, it's connected to you because, you know, if we flash back 9 years ago to that first debate and he was going after you and you definitely, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think you were really a Trump supporter at that point. You were actually doing journalism, certainly. Then it's 9 years later and, you know, a day or two before the election, you're on stage with him making the case for why women should vote for him. And then here we are. I mean, if you were to talk to yourself 9 years ago, what do you think she would think about what's going on right now?
I don't think she would have anticipated this is where she'd be at all. I mean, my own evolution on Trump was not totally dissimilar from that of many voters, I think, where he came onto the scene in 2016 and you were like, what is it? It doesn't look like the rest and it doesn't sound like the rest and it doesn't fit the mold of what I have programmed in my brain as possible president. And then we had that debate and after which he, you know, just kept kind of tweaking me for 9 months. So like, then I was really like, I don't really like him and he's not my fave. So yeah, that's where I was back in 2016, but then he governed, you know, and at heart, I've been a center-right person for many, many years, and he was really pleasing me in virtually everything he did as president. I mean, every single win he racked up, I was like, and I agree with that one, and that one too. Oh, and good for him on that. Oh, and look at these jerks who are coming after him. And the Brett Kavanaugh thing really sealed my feelings about him. And next thing I knew, you know, they blamed COVID on him in a way that was really unfair and his economy had been booming and it was just, they behaved so badly on the left. I grew to absolutely loathe their leaders, loathe them, not the people. I know you and I both have a lot of friends who are Dems, but the leaders. And then by the time we crossed over into the 4 years of Joe Biden and just as he actively tried to ruin the country, I almost just became radicalized against him and their policies and pro-Trump. And the more Trump took, like a man, strong, you know, defying these judges, the lawfare, and then finally the assassination attempts, it was just, by the end, I could not have been more in his camp. That's how the evolution went.
And that's why I tell everybody, it's like, you're always at the top of my short list of people that I enjoy that do this because not only has your evolution been honest and real, but then you also went to to, this side of the media thing, the online part of this coming from mainstream. And that really is the secondary story that I want to get to in a moment. But first, let's go to the time machine for just a second, because I like giving credit where credit is due. I know you don't want any extra credit, Megyn. But let's go back to January 18th, 2024 and watch this blast from the past. Megyn, come mid-January 2025, who will be president of the United States? And then I will let you go.
I hate when people ask this because
I know, and that's why I'm doing it, because you got me on that other one with the Trump and DeSantis thing, and now we'll just have a clip out there hanging there.
I'm gonna have to say Donald Trump. I just think I know we're about to go through a year of criminal trials, and probably convictions, and maybe even the rogue judge who sends him into jail pending appeal. Unlikely, but maybe. Trump grows with every controversy, and I think it will be true this year as well. I've never seen the Republican base so angry about something. Even the ones who don't like him are going to try to send a message that that kind of electioneering that the Dems are doing to him is not okay. And Joe Biden over the next year is likely to have a fall or an impossible to ignore senior moment. And so I'd have to say Trump.
Huh? How about that,
chick? I remember saying that. So yeah, I have my own senior moment. Good for me. I did nail it.
Well, you nailed it. And the reason I wanted to show it again, I like giving people credit where it's due, but it's also because what you were talking about there had nothing to do with policy. It was the thing that was driving the Trump movement that you and I now have become attached to. And I think that that's what really moved people here. Yes, they mostly agree with the policies, but that's not really what people were voting for last week.
No, that's why the Democrats' lawfare may have been the biggest political mistake in history. Truly, it was the most egregiously self-inflicted wound we've seen in a long time in American politics. Their master plan probably got him elected. Almost certainly got him the nomination, and certainly had a big hand in casting the win to him on Tuesday, which is just so delightful. But I'm really thrilled about the second part there, because we all knew Joe Biden was deteriorating, but it was indeed a senior moment that brought him down and kicked him off the ticket. I mean, you kind of knew it was likely to happen, but I'm glad you have a record of it. I can really
not bad, right? It's like they're all pretending that they were saying it the entire time now. That's the whole thing. And that's why I think it's worth showing those old clips. Time is our most precious commodity, and I've heard from so many of you guys who have asked for my advice about how you can spend it wisely to improve yourself and the people around you. That's why I'm so excited that Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses in the most important and enduring subjects. You can learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's online courses, all available for free. That's right, absolutely free. I personally recommend you sign up for American Citizenship and Its Decline with Victor Davis Hanson. In this 8-lecture course, Dr. Hanson explores the history of citizenship in the West and the threats it faces today. Threats like the erosion of the middle class, the disappearance of our borders, the growth of an unaccountable deep state, and the rise of globalist organizations. The course is self-paced so that you can start whenever and wherever. Start your free course, American Citizenship and Its Decline, with Victor Davis Hanson today. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/Dave to start. It's free and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/Dave to start. hillsdale.edu/Dave. And to that point, let's go to that very same episode and watch what you said about Harris. Megyn, does that answer your previous question, which is like, well, why can't they get rid of him? That's kind of why, because they know that, like, okay, if you could bring in Dean Phillips or if you could bring in RFK or anyone else magically, well, you still have to get rid of her. And that's what they're up against right now, because nobody's going to vote for her.
Aren't you feeling sorry for yourself? Right? I'm feeling sorry for me.
Why am I feeling sorry for Megyn Kelly right now?
Get stuck with these two. How did we get stuck?
Existentially, yes, I feel bad for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she used to go on with her, like, in that same speech with her, like, but we need to be unburdened by what has been, which she says. So, yes, she is a massive problem for him. Yeah, like, make it a contest, but the Democrats will never put her in. But he cannot pass the baton to her because they will lose.
They did pass the baton. They did it on the DL, and she lost. So
it was reckless. It was an absolutely reckless decision. And now the interesting thing this week with Nancy Pelosi suggesting that was just a Joe Biden move, that she was surprised he endorsed her the day he announced he was dropping out, that she really wanted Pelosi an open primary in which Kamala was going to be forced to compete, but not guaranteed the outcome. I wonder if that's true. I don't know, but it is shocking that they went with her. I know why they went with her, the whole identity politics thing. They were stuck with her, and maybe Joe Biden just made it a foregone conclusion. But I don't know, because look, they could have said he endorsed her, and that's good. That counts for a lot, but we're still going to have an open primary. Pelosi said no. It was absolute recklessness to go with Kamala Harris. I mean, you couldn't have found a worse candidate. She is dumb. Too dumb to be president, too dumb to be vice president, even, I would venture, and just spent the last 100 and X days trying to convince us and remind us of that fact. She was completely, on top of that, inept as a candidate. I mean, you could have dumb, but somewhat street smart, like savvy enough to get through an interview. She had no skills, none whatsoever. I mean, we can all now recite her platitudes, her just empty phrases in our sleep. She refused to deviate off of her pre-drafted script. She gave us absolutely nothing to connect to. And so all that was floating in the ether was those radical positions she had taken in 19, which the country universally rejected. It was an utter fail of a campaign on every level. And what's amazing, Dave, is that the mainstream media is ignoring the number one reason for the fail. And that number one reason is named Kamala Harris.
I'm surprised you're not giving her any credit for being from a middle-class family. Maybe you never heard that before, but I thought that was quite impressive, and it almost got the vote for me.
And maybe you heard she eats no for breakfast, too.
Let's talk about the media portion of this, because my position for the last couple months basically was that this was really not an election of Trump versus Kamala. It was really an election on reality and how many people now had woken up to something roughly real that they were getting online versus the endless lies of the mainstream media. It is very obvious that the mainstream media is now even acknowledging. I mean, CNN is now talking about the podcasters and the online streamers and everything else. MSNBC is now for sale via Comcast. CNN, it's now being reported, is about to axe a bunch of their top talent. Is that really the win here? I mean, there's a Trump win and a policy win, of course, and we're seeing some good people coming in. But is the other piece of this that the thing that you left years ago to now start what you're doing, very much like what I'm doing and so many others, that now we have a chance to actually deal with the truth at least?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Not only, obviously, Trump's use of the podcast circuit in driving up his numbers, in particular with men and with young people, because this is where they are. The young people do not watch cable news at all. They're older people, senior citizens watch cable news, and we know this. Not only in that way, but think about like the presidential debate between first Trump and Biden, but then Trump and Harris, and the vice presidential debate for that matter, and the fact checking that went on X and on podcasts and the digital lane. I mean, it was absolutely stellar. And those very effective little memes of like one, the way that Dana Bash asked J.D. Vance his first question versus the way that Dana Bash asked Kamala Harris her first question. Like those were all over the online digital community, and they got played and replayed on shows like yours and mine. The fact checking of the debate was just something I've never seen before, where these mainstream anchors could not get away with the lies they were telling about, let's say, immigration policy in that J.D. Vance, Tim Walz debate. All of it was exploding. The Tim Walz stolen valor stuff, that exploded online. We all really had a massive role in shaping the narrative in a way that would have been unthinkable even 4 years ago. And it didn't deafen the mainstream media, but it completely counterbalanced them in a way that just wasn't even possible. It wasn't even possible until recently. It's a totally new game now.
So I think I've asked you some version of this probably a couple times over the years, but what do you think? I mean, the hysteria and the lies and the fact that Obama 2 days before the election's doing very fine people again, and that all of some of the people that you just mentioned there from Dana Basher, Jake Tapper, that they just were lying or running cover for all these lies relentlessly. And yet they knew they were being called out about it online. As someone that came from the cable world, can you just talk a little bit? Has any of your thoughts on their psychology or what's really going on with these people? Are they being handed a piece of paper, say this, lie about this? What do you think is really going on there?
I mean, on some issues, yes. I've told the story just recently, but I remember back in the day, I think it was co-anchoring America's Newsroom with Hemmer, which was 2007 through 9. We tried to entertain the Jenny McCarthy claims about vaccines, which were controversial for sure. But you weren't even allowed to say, could she be right? Jenny McCarthy's message on the vaccines was not, don't take the childhood vaccines. It was too many shots too soon.
Right. It was about the schedule,
basically. Even allowed to talk about it. I remember being like, well, what does she mean? I wasn't yet a mother. And it was like, well, how? And I remember Fox News being like, oh, hell no, we are not even going there. And now today, the same thing is happening with the trans stuff. Fox News uses, quote, preferred pronouns. That's a News Corp policy. They say he when it should be she, and it gets very confusing for the audience. And that's their internal policy as well. And so for sure, there are guidelines within which all those people must stay or they get in trouble. You could never have the frank and honest discussions that we have on our shows about race essentialism, the trans stuff, the election denialism stuff, the COVID truths. I mean, to pick a different day, you'll find a different issue on cable news. And I only would really put it together later that a lot of that is driven by just the agenda of the owners, the people at the top. And a lot of it is driven by the advertisers. I mean, RFKJ is not wrong when he points out what a huge advertiser Pfizer is all over television. A big advertiser in a day where cable news is doing this. So what is the interest in that company and having a bunch of segments bashing Pfizer or talking about the myocarditis that teenage boys are getting after they take these vaccines? There's plenty of other things that can fill the news. And that's one of the beauties of being where we are is you can talk, you can say what you want. Even YouTube, for all of its, censorious instincts, has allowed yours truly to maintain this platform now for 4 years. And I've only ever had one video demonetized, and it happens to have been with Donald Trump. And it's because he used the M word in talking about chopping off body parts of children. And if you use the M word to discuss what it is, the chopping off of body parts, YouTube gets upset. But I'm just saying, we live in these alternate forums and it's working. It's not working perfectly, but we're all strong. We've all found a way to get our voices out there and to make our frank discussions heard.
I do have to say, I don't give YouTube a lot of credit, obviously, and thank God for X and Rumble and everything else. But, the New York Times ran that crazy piece a few days before the election, basically trying to make sure that all the right-wing YouTubers, including us, were going to be demonetized. And they asked YouTube for a statement, and YouTube was like, nope, we're not doing anything. So that also goes to that cultural shift. The world's on edge. Election tensions, economic instability, supply shortages, and new health threats. Waiting for the medical industrial complex to protect you during a crisis is a huge mistake. That's why I want to tell you guys about the wellness company's Contagion Emergency Kit. It's a lifesaver put together by real experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Inside, you've got medications like ivermectin, HCQ, budesonide, and even a nebulizer. These are critical medications to treat respiratory illnesses and so much more, especially heading into flu season. Think about it. We've witnessed drug shortages, pharmacies turning people away, and prescriptions being questioned. Do you really want to risk being told no when you need life-saving meds? This kit lets you bypass the red tape. No waiting, no begging. You're in control. With just a few clicks, the kit is delivered right to your door. I have my kit, and now you can get yours by heading on over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $45. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. That's twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $45 plus free shipping right now. But you mentioned the racists over at the cable news outlets. You said this a couple days ago, and I don't think I fully agree, and I'd like to have a healthy debate about it. Watch this.
We've got to spend another minute on Joy Reid. It's a TikTok situation until her ass is fired. It's just, there's no way MSNBC, which is in a full meltdown now about how bad their losses were, there's no way they can keep this woman. I realize they're in the same problem that the Democrat Party is. Like, they have a base that they need to keep. But she and her little friend, Ellie Mistal, are truly the most racist people on television.
So you might be thinking, Megyn, what kind of issue are we having here? I think that Sunny Hostin is the most racist person on television. And I think we should have an open
You're giving me
and
something to
honest-
think about. Yeah. I'm not going to say you're not in the running with that one. I'm not going to dismiss that out of hand. But I still like my odds, like especially the pair of them, Joy Reid and Ellie Mistal together. I mean, it's amazing to watch. Like, you really can't believe that they're allowed to say the things they say.
It's insane.
On her show and also her Instagram. Like, her Instagram is so full. The one that I think was talking about that day, there were a couple of clips of her, but we were hearkening back to a clip in which I think it was on her Instagram. She was mocking white women's tears.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, poor white women. Oh. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if when I was on Fox News in the prime time, if I was like, oh, look at the black women crying over George Floyd. Oh, the black woman. Can you imagine? I would have been fired so fast.
Yep.
But she can get away with doing that to whites. Wait, why again? Because MSNBC and NBC allow blatant racism on their airwaves every single night. She's not the only purveyor of it. She just happens to be the worst.
Also, I'm pretty sure she's not a natural blonde.
Oh my God. Weren't we lectured by people like Joy Reid about white women who want to wear the braids? It's a no. That's why when we went to the Bahamas for like 10 years, we couldn't have our child's hair with the braids that the Bahamian women would love to charge you $100 to put in their head. But you're not allowed to help the Bahamian women because Joy Reid will call you a racist if she sees your child and her white hair in the braids. Then we were told you can't make yourself look like a Latina, or as J-Lo says, Latino. They all speak like completely without any Puerto Rico accent until they get to their words, and then they want to remind you, Latino. Anyway, we were told you're not allowed to like wear the lip liner or the big hoops, and you can't have because that's all appropriation. And as a white woman, you're not allowed. So why can Joy Reid have the white hair, have the bright blonde hair? For a while there, it was long and it looked exactly like Donald Trump's. And now she's gone closer cropped, fine, which is what leftist women are doing. They're shaving off their hair to prove that they're leftists. P.S. We could tell by your sour face. You didn't need to shave off all your... We're good. We got it. Your enormous glasses.
These women...
These are my readers, Dave Rubin. It's what a normal person gets when they need a reader. It's like the liberal glasses are... so ugly.
Mark Cuban started looking like Rachel Maddow. It's like, what the hell's going on with these people?
It's like they think it's cool to be unattractive. It is not cool, Joy Reid. Grow your hair out and act like a grown-up. And we already knew you were leftist before you shaved off all your hair.
I don't think it's worth going into Elie Wiesel or whatever his name is, Mistal, but I will say he looks like half Fat Albert, half Albert Einstein.
He looks like one of those little trolls, with like the hair that goes...
What do you think? What do you think happens to all of these people now? Like, what do you think happens to not just, I don't mean just the MSNBC class, but all of these people who've been so wrong about so many things. And I'm not just talking about the elite, the media people, but, the professors, but even the young girls who I do have sympathy for, who are going crazy with the posting the videos on TikTok, because they've been abused by probably their parents and the entire system and everything else. Like, what happens to that thing as Trump makes things better? Because I see that happening very clearly. And these people, it's hard to basically be like, oh, Hitler's not so bad.
They won't be going with Hitler is not so bad. The media will do what the media does, and they will make everything he does bad. Think about Tom Holman and the deportations that are about to start. It's going to be great. I can't wait to get these murderers and rapists and child molesters out of our country. If you don't believe me, go follow Bill Melugин's X feed. Yep. He works for Fox, covers the border exclusively, tweeting about the number of rapes, child rapes that have been going down in Massachusetts, which has said it won't cooperate with the deportations. Great. Where's your concern for your children? But anyway, what the mainstream media will do is not, oh, Trump got the rapists out. He got the murderers out. It's going to be, he took a father from his family.
Mhm.
It's all the coverage will be the most negative angle they can find when Trump changes Title IX back to what it was always and was meant to be, which is a statute that protects girls.
Right.
They will have a million articles on how it's transphobic, and they'll put the trans kid, the one trans kid who's a boy pretending to be a girl, teary-eyed on TV. Poor me, I never hurt anybody. I just wanted to play field hockey. They will not put on the girl who had all of her teeth knocked out, by the way, again, in Massachusetts by said boy. So that's what the media is going to do because they have TDS. And even without Trump, they hate Republicans. They really think conservatives and Republicans are bad, genuinely. So they will not be seeing the bright side. There will be no silver lining for them. They will get back on mission of trying to destroy and laying the foundation so that they can win first the midterms and then the next presidential election.
When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions around COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Of course, Rumble did not. They held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked by brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech while Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers alone. They don't get much of it. So watching our show is the number one way we can ask for support from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with promo code Rubin when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium/Rubin and use code Rubin. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us right here on Rumble. By the way, I just want to mention again, I think I said it to you on election night. I really think that the speech that you gave with Trump, was it the day before? Was it actually the day before?
Yeah, it was
the
the night
election?
before.
The night before. I think that did shift some women. I thought you gave the best explanation of what women actually care about, but they just don't hear. Certainly the best one that I've ever heard at a Trump rally. And I really do think that obviously the people in that room are already there. But for the people that heard it outside, I really mean that. Let me ask you something else. Do you think that this new alliance that has brought, say, you and I and RFK and Tulsi and now Trump and all of these people, Homan, I mean, the guy was in charge of ICE and is the most serious, like old school Republican. I keep saying on my show, he will play himself in the movie. Like that's how good he's right out of casting 101 for the guy that's going to do this thing. But the thing that has brought us all together, do you think it can hold, like, does it have good runway right now to really do all the things that we want to get done?
Yeah. I mean, I know there's some people predicting there's going to be tension between Trump and Elon because Elon's more eccentric. I mean, he's the most creative genius we have in the world. And that comes, I'm sure, with a bunch of like potential problems because it's not clear who's the subservient one in the room when he's there and Trump's there. So I could see that, maybe there'd be some friction at some point. I don't know, though. I think it would be far down the line because right now they're completely aligned in their mission. And Elon, he has a touch of humility. I mean, I think he understands when he's in the room with Trump right now anyway. Trump's El Jefe. And I don't know. I can see some potential for conflict. And I can see some potential conflict with RFK too, who's similarly a strong personality and slightly out there on a few things. Like the brain worm was a turn I didn't expect in this election. So I can see that. These are very interesting, very accomplished people. And they're not type Bs. So we're going to have a lot of type As in there. But that's good. I think Trump is used to surrounding himself with type As. I think he'll be able to harness their gifts. And I think, realistically, everybody knows there's only one president and his name is Donald J. Trump. So here's hoping for the best.
Are you as pleased with the pick so far as I am? Because to me, we basically spent 4 years picking people on their skin color, their gender, and whether they chop their genitals off. And now it's like, well, we got Homan and Marco Rubio seems pretty right to me. And, even bringing in Zeldin to do the EPA, it's like, all right, he's a competent guy. Like clearly we're not hiring people that have no experience in nothing, which is what we did last time.
And Elise Stefanik, I think she'll be great at the UN.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right? That's what you want, a fighter who's not afraid to go in there and challenge people. They're not going to know what hit them at the UN. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I could do without Kristi Noem. I'm not going to lie. Like, yes, she shot her puppy in the face. It's a problem for me. But she also had some trans legislation in her state that was deeply problematic. And it wasn't until she got cross-examined, but good, by Tucker Carlson when he still had his Fox show that she changed it. I think we could have done better there, but whatever. I'm not going to second guess Trump. He's got a lot of posts to fill. She was loyal to him. I'm sure she is competent because South Dakota is running really well. So hopefully that'll work out. I'll just leave it at that.
And what about the next couple months till Trump takes office? Because I think there's, and I said this on my show last week, and I want it to bubble up to whatever sane Democrats are left, that Biden has an incredible opportunity right now, regardless of whether they took him out or whether he actually kind of did it voluntarily or whatever. He has no need now to placate to the crazies, but he does have this 2.5 month period where he could actually restore his legacy and do some things right. I don't know, maybe get 5 American hostages out of Gaza, not to even speak of the Israelis, maybe sort of wrap up Ukraine because Trump's going to do it pretty quickly, fix the border further. Do you think that there's enough juice left around Biden or whoever's around him to do some of the right things? I don't see him going scorched earth on Trump right now.
Did you see him on the sand in Rehoboth Beach?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
no, I get it. I get it that there's not much left with him, but whoever's that, me and you were way ahead of that, right? Like we were doing that in 2019, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, whoever's around him, whether it's Jill driving the ship or whatever, that they might be like, boy, there's a legacy to be. Otherwise, your legacy basically is it was
done.
pretty horrible. Yeah, you think that's done?
It's exactly what the rye bread was after 2 minutes in my toaster this morning. It's done. It's done. So I don't know. I don't see that. And I think if the hostages get out, God willing, people are going to credit Trump. Remember, Trump said, if I win,
yep,
I'll have those hostages better be released before I get sworn in.
He said our hostages, which I thought even that he said was pretty powerful.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it could happen. I just don't think there's a lot of people aren't going to credit Biden for it. They would credit Trump, I think. And Biden doesn't want to wrap up the Ukraine war. Biden is more with the neocon wing of the Republican Party and his own party now, where I think they're still Team Zelensky, where they see some favorable outcomes still in Zelensky's future. I think it's more of us on the Republican normie side that are saying, what specifically? How could this possibly end without Zelensky giving up significant portions of the country, which we don't want? It's just realistic.
It's just reality.
That's the only way to end this thing, and without more bloodshed and without destabilizing the world even further. But I think that's a belief that's held by Biden and Jake Sullivan and Team Blue that won't waver in the last 2 months. They'd rather Trump take the hit for wrapping that thing up.
More importantly than anything else we've discussed so far, did you just say that Megyn Kelly eats bread in the morning? Has this glowed up Megyn Kelly? She's eating carbs? Come on, what are you talking about?
I'll tell you something. You know Jillian Michaels, right?
I do. I adore her.
Fitness guru. She came on my show about a year ago and she told me it's okay to eat bread. And so, damn it, I do. I eat bread. I'm not having I'm not having like a sandwich for breakfast and a sandwich for lunch, but I do have a piece of bread often in the morning with my eggs, or sometimes I'll have peanut butter toast, which I love. It's such a treat. And when I go to the restaurant and they have not just any random bread, but if they have the white bread that just came out of the oven and it's not stale, it's like soft and doughy with like the good butter that has the salt on it. Oh my God, it's one of the pleasures of life. So yes, I do. I eat the bread.
I have nothing else for you. That felt like the right ending to me. Megyn Kelly enjoys soft, buttery, salty bread. Put that on the internet, people. Megyn, you are absolutely the best. I just love watching your rise in all of this. It's like, man, we actually, I know you don't like saying it, so I'll just say it. I just know we had a little something to do with this, and
look,
it's cool.
You were nice to give me any credit at all. You are the trendsetter. You were over here making something out of this lane when I didn't even know it existed, Dave. And you do it with class, with respect, with good humor, and with smarts. I've always respected your work product and your ultimate TV product, and I still do.
End communication.